Okay, guys, so now we're going to talk about nature. And I just wanted to start off with this a little bit of research that I did, and I found this out. In medieval times, it was believed that the health of the country was directly related to the goodness and moral legitimacy of the king. So, just based off of that, we can go right into talking about nature and the unnatural. So, Macbeth becomes king in an unnatural way. He is not only killing to become king, which isn't necessarily a part of it's not necessarily acceptable in this time period, but then also he becomes king because of unnatural elements telling him that one day he will become king. So we've got the three witches telling him that it's been foretold. So this is not from what we know about Shakespeare and King James and the reason why Shakespeare included the witches into this play. We can see that this unnatural element is changing Macbeth's nature and changing the nature with which he would go forth and get all of the things that he really, really wants: to become king, to become the Thane of Cawdor. Those should be reversed because Thane of Cawdor, then the king, and everything like that. So, if this is the belief of the time, that the health of the country is directly related to the legitimacy of the king and the goodness of the king, how has Macbeth then upset the natural order in taking over Scotland? This then becomes unnatural. So there we can see yet again the nature and unnatural turning into each other, really coinciding and becoming one, just kind of personified by Macbeth's rule. If we want to go ahead and take a look at Lady Macbeth's character, when she, like I said in the violence video, she has this wonderful line about "unsex me here and fill me from the crown to the toe, top full of direst cruelty," or the toe to the crown. I got those two mixed up. Obviously, that's something that you guys would be looking for in the play, and you would not be making these silly mistakes. So we can go ahead and talk about her womanly nature, how unnatural it is, because she is going ahead and wanting to be cruel and wanting to push her husband into doing these evil things and taking over when he's not really supposed to. And there we can get into fate and how, because Lady Macbeth is such an unnatural female character for the time period, and we can go ahead and say lady power, you can rule, you can kill people if you want to in the context of the play. Don't do it in real life. But we can go ahead and talk about how Lady Macbeth's character is so unnatural to have this ambition and drive and just continuous forceful will of nature, and how unnatural that is. So what does that mean for her character? From the very beginning, even before we meet Macbeth and the witches and everyone, simply by the fact that he is married to this unnatural woman, could that have affected his entire plot throughout life, not only in the play Macbeth? Because we don't know what's happened before we meet him on the heath and see him be affected by the ghosts and the witches and everything like that. We also want to go ahead and talk about the unnaturalness of killing your best friend, killing someone that you that you've pledged fealty to. So Macbeth before we even meet him, has all of these relationships, and he's living his life within the confines of these relationships in very natural, very caring ways. He is, when we meet him talking to Duncan, and we see after he's decided to kill Duncan, and he's had that conversation with Lady Macbeth, and Lady Macbeth is telling him, you have to kill, you have to kill, you have to kill. He's continuously going through this back and forth saying the people won't like me. I've already pledged fealty to Duncan. Duncan's such a great guy. He's already done so much for me. I should really just wait it out. So we can see that within the confines of his own nature, he is genuinely a good person. But it's only when these unnatural elements start coming into it, both figurative and literal, that his nature starts to change. So these are the different kinds of things that we can be talking about in the context of, that's Mrs. Mckinley, by the way, in the context of nature and the unnatural. You guys are going to do great.